Hello, everyone. Like usual, giving it a few minutes for the stream to start, for people to join. I will get started checking out some stuff, some setups, anything that I like. Uh, the meantime, yeah, some stuff out there that was worth taking a look at. Especially oil. I think we have a good setup on oil. So I have multiple things to look at, and I guess I'll look at them myself. All right. Welcome. I'll be paying attention to both chats, YouTube and here in Discord. And then we'll get started. Today was a very strange day. Not strange. I mean, we had a huge gap, made things a little wonky. But I mean, all in all, there was a lot of whiplash. It feels like the order books are not getting the order flow. I don't know what you're gonna call it. It's weird right now, right? We have a lot of whips, a lot of breakdowns that happen to get bought up immediately. So it feels like there's a now there's certain levels where it crosses that there's no deep buyers to sustain the price, and once it drops, it's like a rush to get in, which I think is only shorts trying to get out. But I mean, that's just a hypothesis that I have. Could be. If there was buyers to buy at any price, as it climbs, there'll be orders to buy at a lower level, one tick lower and whatnot, like normal price discovery. Right now, it's just not like that. Welcome, welcome, Falcon. Just waiting to see people join. If not, we'll do like a private session. Because not a lot of people are awake right now for a good old fashioned analysis. All right, this is recorded, so anybody that wants to look at it later, they can look at it later. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start. If you have any questions, I'm gonna where the ping was. You can type right there, and I'll answer your questions. All right, so yes on the daily, on the weekly actually. Let's look at yes on the weekly. Yes, on the weekly we had the bottom of the session. When did we have the bottom? Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday was the bottom, right? So we had 3 trading days, which is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday today. So this bottom right here, at the moment that it was touched, it was exactly the weekly 20 EMA right here. I saw you were typing welcome. Don't be shy. I'll be watching. So we had the weekly 20 MA attack. So I use that a lot as a reference. For if it's not like a small indication that it could go higher later. Um, I don't know what it is. There's always interactions with it. There's obvious times where it just doesn't interact with it, but I mean, I tend to bet higher once this level holds, and more whenever it holds to the penny, right? To the penny. So that was on the Tuesday lows, yesterday's lows. So today we actually had a rally off of it, right? A little bit disappointing that the rally happened overnight. Honestly, I think the overnight session kind of stole a lot of the range that could have been done today. I was ready to long the market, but it didn't happen. So um, looking down to the weekly again, I'm sorry I moved back and forth, but the weekly, I just want to note that as of today, as of Wednesday, which is 2 trading left of the session, we are inside the prior weekly range right here. So prior weekly range is right here, right? And we're basically still inside. It is rare to keep an inside candle on the weekly on ES. It happens, but it is rare, right? Usually, if you look back in history, like 90 something% of the time, we tend to break some kind of extreme, right? Like, let's just take this from this point forward as an example. This candle takes out the highs, this is the highs, the lows, the highs, highs. This one stays inside, so that's one iteration right there. Take out the highs, the lows, the lows, the lows inside, the highs, and so forth. So basically, this one is inside. Basically, that's rare to have, right? It can happen, but that is rare to have. Um, I think that if we approach this type of highs right here, you can you can very well bet that the market's gonna break this high. It's not gonna stay underneath it, right? You'll break that high, or one tick, two, whatever it is, a little bit, but it'll break it. Well, I have further evidence on the expected moves and whatnot that the market could have room to the upside, and we'll look at it right now. So that's the perspective on the weekly, right? We do have a perspective on the fibs from this high to this low right here on the weekly. So just to note that 618 a 618 run, this is the 618, a 65 appears to the 618. It appears at the 6.5 will give us that weekly break just by a tiny bit. So that's gonna be my level of interest, 40.79. That's my level. Like if we end up going higher, 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 there have signs of this thing can have legs. This will be my ultimate target for the weekly at 40.79. I got my line right there ready. Actually, I don't use this drawing set for my trading, but I'll keep it up, so we can I'll save it because the one that I use, you don't want to see. Is this, right? But we just for the sake of it, right? So it means that whenever we use a fib retracement, it means that this could be a top for the market to come and make legs down later, right? If this leg down is gonna have any meaning, where the market just tends to change direction, it's gonna do it somewhere around this high. So you'll be kind of double topping right here. You'll be hitting the 6.5 retracement. You'll break the prior weekly high. So a lot of things are saying that it's good to target this to the upside, if it goes further, we have to reanalyze. But that will be like my main target, possibly no more than this. Thank you for playing. Moving on, right? So we're gonna delete this real quick because we know where we at. We know that this is a 6.5 retracement. Actually, let's just put the name on it so I won't miss it. 6.5% retracement. Right? And why do I use it for 6.5 retracement? Is because the market tends to break the 618, baiting the stop losses onto the 618, and then going a tad bit further, right? So I still keep in mind that the 618 is present, and but I'll, once it goes higher, I'll try to aim for that to the upside. Things are pointing to the upside, but I don't know how far we could drop before we go there. So looking at the daily, we have a bullish daily close, bouncing from the daily 20 and the daily 50. So short term and medium term EMAs are stacking against each other, and I mean it makes sense because we've been trading sideways for a long time. So that could be a bullish indication, that the short term and the medium term are pulling higher. So we're gonna use that as an indication that we could go higher from this point. I think as a good rule of thumb, like if this market is gonna go higher, it's good to use fib retracements for possible drops to then fill to the upside. It requires a lot of downside, so just looking at this on the 15-minute, getting to at least a 32 retracement, which is 40.30, will place it underneath the RTH lows of Wednesday session, right? So, and if we put it to a 50% retracement, it'll put it to 40.20, and the 618 is 40.11. So if we end up dropping, those levels are to be bought. I like to think that the idea that if tomorrow's session is bearish, I will be targeting this lows right here. So basically, prior candle. Look at this. This is a prior candle high. So the market has a gap on this session from this point, which is right here, 40.31 lows of the session to the highs of Tuesday, which is 4,010, 4,950 or so, right? The highs right here. So all this is a void that only traded on the overnight that we probably gonna fill sometime in the future, maybe tomorrow. And if we end up dropping, that could be the target that I'm looking at, you know. And if I use a favorite retracement from this whole run all the way over here, you'll see that the 618 is a little bit higher than the RTH low, than that Tuesday high, right? So if we end up filling the gap, maybe we go to the 6.5, maybe it stops right before it fills the gap at the 618. So either or, I'll take possible trading. You know, if we start heading down, I don't think it stops here. You know, I don't think it stops here. I think it goes all the way over here just because of this gap, right? Usually, I'll be looking for longs. Like if we do head down, I'll be looking for longs at 40.20 because it's a 50% retracement. But if we do end up dropping, since we have a gap void right here, I'll be looking to for at least a 618, if not the 6.5. You know, once it pierces this high right here to fill the gap, 6.5 right here. Whenever I look at gaps, I like to take a look at the gap from what happened on the from where's the open? This is the open, right? So what happened? Let me see. Right here, from this, how much of the gap got filled, right? This is the open right here, and this is the prior day highs right here, right? I'm gonna delete the this other retracement that we have right here, just so we can watch this better. So just as a measuring tool, it doesn't mean that you use it as a favorite retracement. This is the open of Wednesday, this is the highs of Tuesday, and I just use it as a ruler, right? So the market kind of stopped right here, so it didn't even fill to the first retracement right here. That's very bullish. That indicates that we could head higher, you know, fill in that very a little bit of the gap. But a good thing to mark is 50% of that gap, right? Even though I already filled part of it, 50% of the mark just becomes 40, 24, 25. 40, 24 with 25. That will be 50% of the gap, and that will be looking for intraday support if we end up dropping in between, and that's in line with this candle low, right? So intraday support at 40, 24, 25, you know. So that's all I got for the gap. That's a possible scenario for a drop right here, and a possible scenario for a long is all the way over here, right? I don't know what's gonna happen first. It could be a pop into this, right, and then drop to fill the gap, or it could be a drop into fill the gap and then a pop. I think the most bullish outcome will be actually to drop first, get some short strap with the gap fill, and then pop into this right here, right? That will be I think the most bullish outcome. If it does this, it's still bullish. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? Because why would the market not be bullish if it's going higher before dropping? But I think it's a good idea to think that the market has some finished business because of this gap right here, that is gonna tend to go try to fill it at some point in the future, right? It's gonna fill it. So large of a gap is just not gonna stay like that. There has to be trading action, good price discovery during the RTH sessions in the future, right? So we got that right there on those areas, and now we go down to the hourly to identify any supplies and demands. Let's see, supplies. There's a little bit of supplies right here on this area between these two levels right here. Yeah, the other ones don't look very convincing. Demands are gonna be this area right here. Yeah, demands are gonna be this area right here. Let me shade it real quick. And the supply will be, this one doesn't convince me really, but this will be the supply right here. I don't think I'm gonna use any reference with the supply, but it's good to know where what was supply before is now demand area. So it's good to keep it in watch, right? That's what I got for ES. I think it's pretty straightforward, right? Either we pop and drop, or we drop and pop. So, and I favor a lot popping into this, breaking, touching the prior days, filling the gap, and then going forward. All right, moving on. I think, oh, evidence that this could go further. Does it have room for the upside? It's right here. I'm gonna show it right here on the expected move. So this little chart right here, we have a green line and a red line. This is the and a black line, right? This is the weekly close from the prior week, and SPX expected a certain range of plus or minus, right, in between. So the expected move for the week, it actually goes in line to a little bit of a break of the prior weekly high. You know, a prior weekly high break, which is what, like a little bit of points right here. So if we want to compare it to anything else right here, we can see that this line right here is basically almost this candle low right here, right? So we go to ES. Oh, we don't have that candle low because it was yeah, somewhere around right here. What is this? 217. So we look at SPX chart. This is 217. Yeah. So 217 lows. That's the expected move for the week on SPX right here. Right. So it does have room for the upside, regardless of how bullish it has look. It looks like it's just not gonna get there. This expected move up SPX right here. So we're just gonna have this on the chart right here. Expected move up SPX. That could be how far does the SPX candle can go, you know. So that's pretty high up. It goes above the 6-5 retracement. So we'll see how it gets there. We have the quarter. We have to remember that this Friday is the quarter end. Is the end of the quarter. So actually, things get a little bit hard to trade during the quarter end. And you know, there's a saying, right? That at the quarter end, hedge fund managers are not even trading the market. They're just celebrating they had a good quarter, you know. And us the traders, we try to do funky things right there. But there's a lot of rebalancing going on, you know, dropping positions until the next quarter, and all this and that, right? We also have to remember that J.P. Morgan has a collar on SPX where they sold the calls of the 4065 strike. So they sold this strike right here. Now, it is above the expected move for the week. You know, this high right here. But so I don't think it's gonna reach. I think the market, as long as on Friday it closes below 4065, the JP Morgan call strike is gonna be out of the money, and they're gonna collect all the premium on the calls like they usually do. So if I'm gonna pay attention to the XPS option chain that day, because whatever has 40,000 contracts is gonna show us the color for the next quarter, right? That's what I got for ES. Let's move on to NQ or NDX, whichever you like. Right. So this one I'm bullish as well. I think there's also a gap to fill that is not. That just didn't get filled. We'll see. We're gonna identify that gap. Right here. I'm gonna remove this. All right, we're gonna use this favorite retracements for possible pullbacks into long in the market, right? Because if the market's gonna go higher, it most likely gonna have some kind of pullback. So we know that the prior candle open for QQQ was right here. So this is the high that has not been tested. That is right now as a gap right now. Does not look like a gap on futures, but if you look at your QQQ or anything like that, you'll know that there's a gap right there. This is the prior today's lows, Wednesday lows, right here. And we're just gonna mark it 2 white lines right here to let us know what is the gap, right? So between these 2 areas, there's a gap. If the market falls and fills the gap into the 618, that'll be a viable area to go long further for a big leg up, right? If the market's gonna head higher, Like I said, my bullish scenario will be a drop into here, even though you'll clear everything that it did yesterday. It will have to require a very bearish day. Yeah, I wonder if maybe the overnight takes the whole action, opens below, then we get the gap filled, and we take a long. I don't know what's gonna happen. Cannot tell the future, but I can tell you what I see, right? Um, so that's the perspective. Gotta take this favor away. Gotta look at this on the daily. So I'm gonna take a look at this on the daily, and we're gonna see that. I mean, I'm sorry, on the weekly. I'm sorry. So we already seen on the weekly. The weekly is still inside the prior weekly range. There was this weekly candle. I don't know what this trend line is. Looks like a perfect touch, but it's not touching anything right here. We're still inside the prior weekly range. It is also rare to have a weekly candle close below, inside the prior weekly range. But if we do, I wouldn't be surprised, guys, because the market is in a very heavily traded area, very sideways area that these things tend to happen, right? But if we end up having a rally, if it's not going higher, I'm gonna target a break of this weekly high, go a little bit further than that, somewhere around the 13,100 area, where there's a resistance area, and we're just gonna go from there, right? If we end up going lower, then I'll be targeting to break the weekly low. So we'll see what happens. That's what I had for NDX. You can see the gap better on I'm sorry, that was NQ. If you look at NDX, you'll see a better gap on the daily, right? You'll see what the market is missing right here. A little bit of piece information that the market is missing right here. Like 10 gaps tend to fill sometimes on the first 3 days, majority of the gaps, not all the gaps. There's gaps, like I'll give you some examples that have been unfilled for the longest time. Something like this on the NDX has been unfilled right here on this area. This right here has been unfilled, since forever. So some gaps, they just stay unfilled for some time, right? On the SPX, that's a little more rare. Statistically speaking, is more rare, but they are right there, right? Yeah, this gap right here, that is to the upside, so we have little gaps here and there. So don't rule it out that it could just leave the gap and go. Next up, any questions about NQ or ES? Any suggestions? Anything that you see? Anything extra? You're the only one right now here, Falcon. So if you got something, now's the time. No questions. Good. Thank you. Thank you for participating. So, moving on, we're just gonna take a quick look at the small caps. The small caps are actually a little more clear not clear on the move, but they don't have unfinished business. Look at this. IWM does not have a gap, and it closes like this little bull flag break on a hammer. If we end up breaking this high, it's probably gonna touch the daily 20 at least, at least the daily 20. And if not, we can head towards any of the retracements to the upside, the 32, which will be like the daily 20 as well, if not the 50 or the 618. But that one did not leave a gap. We know this is mostly this is the futures RTY. We know that this is mostly regional banks, so we have to just, what I gather from trading sideways like this into an EMA is that sometimes the market, when it makes a huge leg down, if it's gonna go down, either it's gonna go up to a retracement, then go down, right? It's most likely, it usually does that, right? It kind of wanted to do that, but instead it traded sideways. This is no retracement. This is trading sideways. Even though it had like a green candle on the daily, just topping in right here at the 32, I guess you can call it a retracement. But instead of coming on a leg down, what it does is actually catching into the EMA. So you can call it like a retracement in time instead of a retracement in price, right? So there's ways that bulls can get out of this, because if this is instead of making a retracement like a same price where it goes down, up, and then a leg down, it goes retracement in time, touches the 20, doesn't go any further than the 32, and then next leg down, that's what it takes it down. That's when you start losing the lows. That's when the market starts panicking to the downside. So that could be the case. There's ways for the bulls that can get out of this. Basically, if you have like a daily 20, uh, staying flat, you go more sideways, and then you start having some pops above it and a little bit of consolidation above it, then it kind of gets clear to the upside. But if there's no push, break, and retest and then go forward, I think it's probably gonna just retracing in time to go lower, right? This is mostly on regional banks, so it's a developing situation. We still gotta see. I mean, it looks very quiet actually. I don't think it's any more news about regional banks anymore. But if it's still a developing situation, that could be a catalyst. If we're still trading sideways to break down or to break higher. Um, now look at the Dow futures, the US 30. That one clear, kind of like this, right? So you kind of trade sideways, have a daily 20 touch and rejection, a higher low, and now you're placing a base. You have finally the break. So this is looking bullish right here. You have a downtrend that does not have continuation lower. You have your first break of the daily 20, and you can head higher. I'm not sure if this one left a gap. This one did not leave a gap. Look at that. The Dow Jones came below, a little bit below the prior day's highs, touch of the retest of the daily 20, and hammer up. So this is a bullish one, right? If this is a bullish one, so if we end up like this, that's a little more clear. So if we end up gonna have a Dow Jones strong, you're gonna look at stuff that is in there, right? Apple, McDonald's. Oh, look at McDonald's, just grinding higher. Wow, it was one of the stocks I wanted to watch this week. McDonald's grinding higher. Boeing. Boeing has been doing great into the trend line right here. What else is there? JP Morgan, I believe. No, Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is there, right? Goldman Sachs is still looking like the Russell, right? Same idea. They still got to clear that 20. If they don't clear it, they could go down from there. That's very important. That's very important because this is what happens when you reject it, right? This is what happens when you reject it, right? So very important that it clears if it wants to go up. If now there's a possible good short opportunity. All right. So that was on the sectors. I'm not gonna go individually on the other ones. I think I'm just gonna look at see if there's one that is in particular bullish, like this one, that is very bullish, which is consumer discretionary. This one right here, just by the look of it, right? Discretionary is bullish, so I'll be looking at stuff like Tesla. Tesla has a good setup on the daily. In fact, Target. What is good on the discretionary? Hold on. CCL, Carnival, Norwegian, for Royal Caribbean, United, Under Armour, Penn, Caesar, Amazon. Ooh, look at those gainers. The losers, Rust was a loser. AZO, did you jump? Yeah. So, yeah, keeping an eye on that. I think XLY can be a good sector, to long. After what it did on this candle, just careful, right? Because I could have said the same about this candle. Look at what happened. It did go higher, but down, then drop, So watch for anything like that for potentially to happen. We already know that this is placing. What does it look like right here? What does it look like right here on this lows? And do you know why I have these boxes right here? Because I was speaking about it to someone, right? If XLY is gonna place a bottoming pattern, it's gonna place a low, a deeper low, an equal high, and an equal low from this low, which is a higher low from this low, right? So now you have like this trend line right here, not trend line, I'm sorry, neckline. Now you have this neckline that you essentially break above it, and what do you have? An inverse head and shoulders, baby, which it will target this highs right here. Right, so XLY could target those highs right here. It does not happen in one day, it does not happen in one push, but that could be the one, So if we do take actually and extrapolate the distance between this and this, you'll eventually get a break of all that. But I'll be conservative and target the upside on X and Y into here, right? If that's what's to happen, right? We already have the formation. Now it's nice to break the neckline, and that will be, you'll see stuff like I said, Target. Let's see, Target has a good setup on the daily. Target does not have a good setup on the daily. We have you see, that's why I talk about the daily 20 a lot. A lot of stuff that is trending down goes to a daily 20 and rejects back down. Let's look at Tesla. Target's not even here, right? Is it? Oh, it is. It is part of the red ones, actually. But Tesla, look at this. Look at this. It had a major level right here that had a ton of shorts building up. You gap up higher. You make a push. You you kind of dwindle down, consolidate. This is basically a compression pattern where it tags this low as a retest, breaks about, holds the daily 20 underneath the trend line. Once this thing breaks, you know what it is for Tesla, right? It's party. It is party. Party into probably like 211 or so, right? Something like this, right? You know how it is, right? Like a little bull flag. Let's draw it real quick. Little bull flag right here. Let's actually go to this right here so we can see it better. Let's actually give me for width. There you go. This, you can extrapolate it to this right here. And look at that. If this bull flag is gonna break right here, it's gonna send you all the way to 221. Not in one day, guys. Not in one day. Not for ZLDTs, right? But that will be a setup, right? So we're monitoring XLY. It looks like it's gonna have a breakout, head inverse and shoulders to the upside, which is also gonna be could be a very big breakout for Tesla to go forward. Okay, I hope you got that, Falcon, because nobody's here to gather this information. They're missing out on some very, very good gems, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, nobody told me about Tesla." Nobody comes to do some. Nobody wants to do some homework. What can I tell them, right? So, so yeah, I have some bullish patterns that I like. Look at this CCL. It needs to clear the fib retracements, but look at that. Recover the daily 20. The daily 20. So that could have continuation. RCL is coming into the daily 20, so not yet. NCLH, not yet into the daily 20. Coming into it. Our CCL is looking a little better than the rest. I believe airlines are in industrials. Airlines are not right here. But usually if you have something like cruise lines going, you want to be looking at airlines as well, because they're going to have some kind of like similar charts, similar patterns. It's just because it's travel, it's leisure, travel, all the stuff. So they're not on the same spider sector, but they're on the same kind of sentiment, right? So those are our airlines, UAL, AAL, Delta, all that, right? So we still, like I said, I think I like XLY, guys. I like XLY. We gotta look for those bottoming patterns, like Lowe's is not bottoming yet. Not yet. Doesn't have a divergence. It's still lower, could place a lower high, still below the daily 20. But if you manage to catch an opportunity in one of those names that if XLY is gonna pump and you see like a Home Depot, I don't know if it's gonna place a bottoming pattern. We have to see if it breaks this high, right? You could take a position for a possible break of that high, and then boom, then you have a bottoming pattern, about the daily 20. This one possibly needs a little more room, more sideways consolidation. But keep an eye on XLY. Keep an eye on XLY. Doesn't look bad, guys. Doesn't look bad. Doesn't look bad. What else? Which one do I like to trade in XLY? Yeah, all the stuff. I'm curious why is Ulta red today. Ulta usually runs with Lulu. It's not like it dropped that much, right? It's almost at all-time highs, but Ulta is just a beast. It never comes down. Ulta never comes down. So that's one of the setups that I'm looking at. I'm looking. We had a good signal today on NEO today on the VIP room. So that's I'm gonna see if we can have continuation of this breakout right here. The initial move already happened. We could have day two of the breakout. We'll see what happens. And yeah, I'm still looking around. I'm still looking around, guys. I'm still looking around. I had a setup that I wanted to show you guys. Well, everybody's watching actually right now. Everybody's watching PDD. I think I'm liking it. You know, this level that broke out during the year last year is finally coming in to test it. And if it starts holding above it right now, has an inside candle, could send it upward, right? So it's one of the names that I'm watching. Um, Other than that, I don't think I got anything else. I think that's it. I really had another setup and I didn't write it down or what. I don't know where I left it. I don't know where it is. Oh, this looks interesting. This looks interesting. This looks interesting. WM waste management. I love to trade WM because it went all the way to the 6.5 and it's holding above it. So a break above it could send it even higher, right? Extended. I don't like to take things that are extended, but it is trending higher. You know, so I may look at this in the future. Any suggestions that you guys want me to look at before I leave? I'm all ears. You're good? All right. Let me look at YouTube. See, nothing there. All right. So I'm gonna close it right here, guys. Thank you for being here. For people that are watching it later, thank you for watching. And I think we have a good perspective, good scenarios that could happen tomorrow, right? So we can be prepared for possible targets once the market has shows its hands or where it wants to go. Thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace out.